Welcome to our pod, and by that I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
And we are two best friends who do a deep dive into a new book series, one book at a time. We are 2 episodes away from finishing up Shining on the Wheel of Time. And we are covering the last chapters of A Memory of Light. So sad. But before we get into it, Laura, what are you reading, watching, and or enjoying?
Okay, so I've been reading The Red Wolf Conspiracy by Robert V.S. Redick as part of my Maybe This Time.
Maybe
I've not finished it yet. I've not finished it yet.
So it's still maybe.
Yes, it's still a maybe. I am over halfway. Okay. So at this point, I've made it much farther than I did before because I only made it to the second chapter before.
Not saying it's bad. Laura just sometimes has to be in exactly the right mood for fantasy.
That's exactly true.
Yes.
I will say on this book, it's pretty good, actually. This is one that I maybe would throw out for us covering at some point.
Oh my God.
Like this series, because I think it's interesting. And my only critique so far is, so there's a lot of characters and it gets a little bit like choppy jumping around between some of the different characters and stuff. And I'm like, wait, what's happening? I'm confused. But this is also just me with fantasy in general. So right. I think I'm just easily confused by fantasy.
I think there's a lot of world building that's like, unfortunately,
there's a lot of world building in this.
Yes. And it's all like at the forefront of a novel because I just started Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha, Shannon. Follow along with me on my Books and Brews account if you guys want to read along with me. But like I'm 38 pages in, and the way I'm like, how many times do I have to look at this map to situate myself? Like,
right.
Who do these people believe in and why? I don't understand. So I get what you're saying. I feel like there's so much like random like dropping of knowledge.
Yes.
As someone who's writes her own fantasy novel, that was like something Veronica said like at the beginning where she's like, this feels rushed. I had to like write an entire backstory, but I also feel like a lot of people, it's hard with fantasy because people
there's such a fine line between people being like, this is rushed, and then other people being like, this is so long, just we don't need to know all this info.
Why do I have to have an entire backstory of why they're here? Just tell me they're here and that's good enough. So I get what you're saying, but I think like it's so hard to
yes
and
especially with this where you're trying to like develop a series. I think it's difficult to just be, I don't know, especially in the first book to do this, but I have heard good things about the series in general, so
that's so interesting
that the next, I guess, 40% left ish.
My roommate was listening to Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, that trilogy or that series. She was like listening to the 3rd book and she was like, oh no, there's gonna be a 4th one, it's not done yet. She was so ready to be like, it's a trilogy, I'm in, I'm out, I'm on my way. And she was like, no, it's not published yet. But she's been listening to them on audiobook. She highly recommends them, everyone.
Is that his YA series?
It is his YA series.
Okay.
But she was a little bit annoyed because she was like, some of the best things in this book, like he left off and then he wrote novellas about it. And I wanted the novellas to be part of the book. Yeah. So it's been interesting watching her experience her first Brando Sando as we experienced our first Brando Sando. So
yeah, hers is probably better.
Oh, but what is the Red Wolf Conspiracy about, Laura?
So, okay, I won't go into a ton of detail because I think people should just read it. Yeah. But
or listen to FTF where they pitched
Charles
the series.
Did a buddy read of this. This is how I even acquired the book, is because of FTF. I won the book in their giveaway, so that was awesome. Thank you. As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted by my pasteurizer. I won the Red Wolf Conspiracy in Friends Talking Fantasy podcast giveaway. They did a buddy read of this on their Discord, and with Under the Radar podcast, I believe was who it was with. And then they also talked about the series, or at least the first book, maybe the second book too. They have.
No, they talked about the entire series by now.
They talked about the entire series?
Yeah, they've all dropped.
I thought they only talked about the first 2 so far, but I'm wrong. as usual. I'm so far
no,
behind.
you're totally fine. I think that the last one is dropped because I've kept up with it because honestly, because like you and I could cover this for the podcast and I would literally forget every single thing I heard from them. Not like docs on them, more a sentiment of Hannah's forgetfulness. Yeah, but no, I think that they've covered every single one.
Okay.
Book 4. Yeah, they're covered up through book 4.
Okay. So basically we're learning about this giant ship, the Chathrand, and it's like part of the Empire of Arkol, and it's supposed to be taking this girl, Thasha, to basically like arrange a marriage to like have peace throughout the land or whatever.
Okay.
But basically it's not trying to do that. The whole mission is to be like, we're starting a war.
Oh, okay.
And so there's just like a lot of things going on, and there's this is gonna sound stupid. It's like it's a ragtag band of people you'd never assume would get together, and they do.
Okay, so every fantasy novel ever. Okay.
Yes. And then there's like little animals and little people that talk and everything, which is interesting to me. Like I think that's like kind of cute. I don't know why I like that so much, but like there's a little rat that is cute. But anyways, yeah, there's a lot of different groups of people, and I guess you could consider, like, I don't know who you would consider the main character. I guess it's Pavel, I think is his name, if I'm remembering right. Pavel.
Okay.
But I guess you consider him to be the main character, and he is also somebody who like studied a lot of languages and stuff, and he has like interesting background and has worked through colonialism in his own way. And so there's like there's a lot of things going on here, but it's an interesting book so far, and I'm excited to finish it.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying your maybe this time.
So it's kind of like, I don't know if pirate-esque is the right way to refer to this.
From what I've heard of it, it's pirate-esque. Yeah.
They're on a boat.
Yeah, they're on a boat.
Magic. So,
you know, they're on a boat and it's going fast and they got a nautical theme, Pashmina Afghan.
There's little magical animals and deadly small people. So awesome. But yeah. And then for watching, I've started watching the last episodes of Grace and Frankie.
Oh, I haven't watched those yet.
I don't know why I didn't even register that they were out, but they are. And I've watched a couple of those, 3 of them now, I guess. And so far, so good. I mean, that's a really good show. I think it's fun. I do question a couple of the things with like the friends that Sol and Robert have, because, and maybe this is just me not understanding how the theater community works, but do they like always get together on weekends and like do tryouts at people's houses sing? I'm a little confused by that. Like I was a theater kid in high school, but I don't ever remember us like, hey, let's all get together at each other's houses and play the piano and sing. And I'm like, these are adults doing that? I'm confused. Is this a thing? Theater community, reach out to me and let me know.
Laura, can I tell you that it is my dream for us to just get together and sing show tunes together?
Try out for our own musicals that we're throwing ourselves.
Like so much fun. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like weird though, the way that they do it, where it's like they're getting together a lot and they're always discussing these musicals that they're going to be putting on. And it's like, obviously Robert's going to be the lead and you're going to be worried about who's going to be up against him. And it's just like, okay, but why are you having an audition in your backyard? Like, this is weird. Everybody's watching and you're all like clapping. I'm confused.
The way people have to like get everyone together just is mind-boggling. I don't understand.
I think sometimes TV shows don't know the best way to do things, and they do situations like this where it's like, this doesn't make sense.
Well, it's the whole like How I Met Your Mother of it all, where it's like, hey, these friends have an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah.
Because adult friendship looks like ours, where you and I talk about books once in a
Yeah.
while, and then we don't see each other for very long spans of time.
Yeah, and I don't know why I find that very normal when maybe actually like getting together on every single weekend and
No.
trying out for musicals that we put on what we should be doing.
We need to sort out our priorities.
Musical Phantom and the Opera.
Come join us. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're watching it. I've fallen
and then
off that
senior
show a little
year.
bit,
but,
oh,
I
how was
watched-
that?
So I really liked it. I know people didn't like it from what I read like online, but I really liked it. And I really like Rebel Wilson, and Sam Richardson played her love interest in that movie.
Okay.
He needs more love interest roles. He was so cute. I loved him. They had good chemistry. He was a great love interest, and he needs more roles.
Yes, I would agree with that. I love him.
Like he really stuck out. He's in Veep and apparently like The Office and a couple other things. I remember him from Veep and then Conan O'Brien.
I don't know why my brain short circuited knowing that you watched Veep. For some reason, that doesn't feel like a Laura show.
Oh, I loved Veep. I watched
funny.
all of it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he just needs a million roles. He was so good. And I thought it was just a really cute movie. Go watch it.
One of our dogs is trying to protect our honor, apparently.
Good.
But
yeah, senior year it's about a girl who is in a coma after a cheerleading accident, and she wakes up 20 years after the accident, which took place near the end of her senior year.
okay.
So when she wakes up, she wants to finish her senior year, and it's hard for her to come to grips with the fact that she's not able to just bounce right back into her popular cheerleader status at high school. And a lot of the time during this movie, I found it difficult for the people in her life to constantly be like, you need to grow up, you need to grow up. Because
God, she just had a horrible.
She had been in a coma for 20 years, and you can't expect someone to be there emotionally or developmentally after they, like the last time they were awake was when they were 17. Like that's just
I don't like that.
Not okay. And I mean, she does get there in the movie because it's a movie, but there were many times where I was watching this with my husband. I was just like, this bothers me that they're pushing this on her and like saying to her, like, you need to be more grown up, just grow up already. And it's like, okay,
That's
just
terrifying.
because she's physically there, she's not mentally there. She's been through a traumatic experience.
Do not like that. No, thank you.
No. But overall, I thought, I mean, if you can look past that, the pushiness of it all, the problematic pushiness, I do think it's a cute movie and I really liked it. But you have to overlook that because that bothered me a lot.
I'm also like not the biggest Rebel Wilson fan anymore. It's just a personal thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about her.
No, she's fine. No. I don't think there's anything bad. I think like it's one of those things where it's like everything's a double-edged sword. But it's more about like when she lost a lot of weight. I'm not beefing with anyone who wants to lose weight. You should have the body of your choice, obviously, in a healthy way. Do not starve yourself or do anything, try to be healthy. But like her weight was always like a very big joke to her in a lot of stuff. Sure. And then when she lost all the weight, it's just a lot of like 90s diet culture that kind of got infused with her personality. And sometimes I think that's dangerous because it teaches people like, all you have to do is care about what you look like. And it's like, okay. And Rebel Wilson pays trainers and has people watching everything she does. And so sometimes I think there's like a little bit of a 90s, like when someone loses a lot of weight, it becomes like this big thing, like it's the same with Adele. But like it's, and again, you get to have the body you want. But I think sometimes if people like on the other side maintain that unhealthy life standard, it's like that works for lots of people because you're a rich, wealthy woman.
Right.
That's not going to work with everyone.
I think just as far as like people's appearance goes, it's very hard, and people should not compare themselves to celebrities.
Yeah.
Because like I would love to have hair like Jennifer Lopez, but
Right.
unfortunately I do not have the money or the time to do those things myself to my hair. So I will not have that hair or like skin of other people, you know, like it's just hard.
If ever I get super famous, the first thing I'm going to do is like tuck the fat underneath my arms, because the women in my family have football arms. But like, I don't want to become like a spokesperson for Jenny Craig after I do that, because it's like, no, I paid for that to happen. Like, because genetics were working against me. And that's like, I'm not dissing on anyone who wants to lose weight. I'm not dissing on anyone who wants plastic surgery. It's just like, she lost all the weight and then she immediately became a spokesperson for Jenny Craig. And I'm like, it just has a little bit of an icky feeling to it, but you know,
I get that.
Yeah. But that's just,
I will say I do appreciate Rebel Wilson for being very open, or not super open, but she was open about struggling with infertility. And I appreciate that, because I feel like we don't get enough people to share that kind of stuff. And
I would agree with that.
I think that was good on her. So,
I didn't know she had opened up about that. So I do appreciate that. Good for her.
I read a couple articles about it. So she's been fairly private about it, but she has apparently struggled with infertility. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Everyone contains multitudes. I'm not saying you can't I'm not saying Rebel Wilson has done anything to like this standard of like, no, you can't be a fan of hers. Mine is just like a lot of her jokes would just
burn your Pitch Perfect CDs.
Yeah. She had some toxic traits that like, you know, just can be called out a little bit. But for what I'm reading, watching, and or enjoying, like I said, I started reading The Priory of the Orange Tree. I'm 38 pages in. I'm enjoying it so far. We shall see. A lot of political intrigue, lots of random characters popping up everywhere, and dragons. So that's fun.
Like actual dragons or fireworks?
Actual dragons. Actual dragons, Laura. Like the real kind.
Well, at least that's not confusing.
Just birthing dragons that look like fireworks for some reason. So I'm reading that, but I also read Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. It is a mystery thriller that made me feel like I was reading a book from the 90s, but it's written by a Black author. I enjoyed it very much. It's about two men. Their sons are murdered at the beginning of it, and they were married, and the two men didn't support these like men. They were homophobic. And it's kind of about their grief and trying to figure out who did it to their sons, and kind of coming to terms with the fact that they could never be forgiven by their sons for the way that they acted.
Fair.
The entire thing was so guessable. Like within the first 50 pages, I found out one thing and I was like, oh, this is exactly what happened this way. And this is what's going on. And here's how it's going to end. And I was right on every single beat. None of it was shocking, but it made me happy because like, I don't know, these mystery thrillers, like a million white people write them all the time. And to read it written by a Black man was exciting and interesting. Cause like, even if it's very guessable, it's still a unique voice. And I appreciated it a lot. So I highly recommend it to people. It's a fun, easy read. And I think like, so, I mean, it's like not easy with there's lots of violence. It's a 90s thriller. So like, there's tons of stuff. It's a 90s thriller written in 2021, but like, it has all that motivation and everything going on. And it's so freaking enjoyable on that stand. And I feel like so many people don't pick up those books naturally when they're like, oh, I want an easy thriller. They're going to like pick up like, what's his face? Like James Cooney or whatever his name is. And it's like, no, pick up Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby because it's fun. And then my other book was Emily Henry's Book Lovers. I took a pause and I read it in 24 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I read it in under 24 hours. I love Emily Henry. Everyone knows I love beach read. People We Meet on Vacation was fine. And I would say Book Lovers is my second favorite of hers. I wasn't a huge People We Meet on Vacation. Friends to Lovers apparently doesn't work for me. This
book, enemies to lovers.
I am an enemies to lover, or Grumpy Sunshine, I think is my favorite. Like a grumpy man falls in love with like a twee woman. Because I was raised on 2000 sitcoms. But Book Lovers is Emily Henry's like third like book since Beach Read that's like made it huge. But it's about a woman who's like a literary agent, and her sister like takes her on a vacation after like she loses a guy who like it's very tropey, and this is why I was like, oh, this isn't my favorite because it felt less realistic, where she's like a very serious worker who like grew up in New York, loves New York, and men keep leaving her when they find themselves in like Hallmark movies, which is funny. It's like, she's like, the last guy I dated stayed with a woman when he met her at her parents' bed and breakfast. This woman doesn't have a career. She just helps run her parents' bed and breakfast. And I'm like, that is a funny situation to be in, to have that happen to you multiple times. And there was some, like, she had lost her mom, so there was some grief there. And we all know that works on Hannah, and Hannah cried. But she goes on a trip with her sister to this like small town from one of her clients wrote about. And she like runs into, a guy who like is a book editor, and she hates his guts, and guess what ensues. I will say, like, this is not enemies to lover. I think that's why I'm not a fan of enemies to lovers. No one ever does it right. Like enemies to lovers implies that they both hate each other, but everyone always makes enemies to lovers like the Pride and Prejudice version, where Darcy's sitting there being like, Elizabeth is so hot, and Elizabeth is over there being like, fuck him. Like that's not enemies to lovers. It's like one person pining over someone who doesn't want to be, like, that's not the same thing. And so I think a lot of people were like, this is enemies to lovers. And I was like, no, it's not. One of them hates the other person and the other one doesn't. That doesn't equal enemies to lovers. But it was very cute. And Charlie, again, a love interest named Charlie is just funny to me. But he was giving a very like Mark Darcy in Bridget Jones's Diary, when he's like, I like you just as you are. Like, I always think that that's one of the most romantic things you can say to a person, is like, because Hannah has a deep-seated need for people to see her. And like having someone say like, I see you and I like you that way is so deeply romantic to me. I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with this man. Like, he's so sweet. And he was grumpy, and he was a brunette, so he's exactly my type. Those are all the things.
Henry Cavill in the movie, then we know for sure.
Oh my gosh, someone on TikTok mentioned Henry Cavill and Kaylee Cuoco, and the way I googled like, are they in a relationship? And here they were for a while, and they weren't anymore. And this happened like back in 2013, and I was like, don't do that to me, Henry Cavill. I don't like Kaylee Cuoco that much.
She's dating the guy from Ozark.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you know that, because it would have saved me some struggles and a panic attack. But yeah, this was a cute book. It was sweet. It was romantic. It wasn't very like romancy. I feel like it had like enough steam that you would appreciate it. So not too much.
It's at my steam level. Okay.
And like some of it was very weirdly guessable. I really liked the sisters' personality, but felt their communication was baffling. And so overall, good, not great. But Charlie, 100% loved him. Not as good as Gus and Beach Read, but what can you do? Gus is the perfect man. And then for watching, I had to meal prep yesterday. And so like, how when you meal prep, you want to turn on something kind of stupid, but like I wasn't in the mood to rewatch something. I wanted something new. Yeah. So I turned on The Hating Game with Lucy Hale.
Okay.
And Laura, that movie was so freaking bad. There are no words.
Yeah, I will never watch that.
Don't ever watch it. Don't ever, because like I didn't technically watch it because like I was always doing other things while it was on.
But you watched enough of it to know that you hated it.
That movie was baffling. Like the pacing on it makes no sense. Spoilers for The Hating Game, because we're getting into it, guys.
Skip go ahead
if you want to see this trash bag of a movie.
Tell us all about it.
First of all, again, pretending it's enemies to lover. That man never hated that girl. He just thought it was weird foreplay. Don't have that type of foreplay. You're two adults. Second, this is a workplace. Their communication with each other when they had not had any romantic interest in each other whatsoever was baffling. Like at one point she has a sex dream about him. She comes in the next day and she's a little like like jazzy or whatever. And he's like, oh my God, you had a sex dream last night. And I'm like, this is inappropriate. This is a workplace. You can't just ask that kind of question.
What?
And then in the same conversation, she's like, oh, well, I have a hot date. Da, da, da. And she doesn't. And he's like, well, make sure you tell him about your like diva cup because it fell on the floor or whatever. And she goes, I'll just tell him I'm not wearing any underwear. And I'm like, you are at work. This is an HR nightmare.
I was going to say, what is going on there?
And then like, he's just like, what is this game we play? She was never in the game. She just thought he hated her as much as she hated him.
It's the hating game.
Weird. Yeah, but like, it's so freaking weird to have that kind of like, almost like I treated you badly because, and you didn't like me because I treated you badly, but I thought it was foreplay. Like, that's not good for anyone.
I feel like it's more 12. Just like inappropriate sarcasm is what it sounds like.
Right. Like, it was just really freaking weird. And oh my God, I screamed at one point, like actually screamed out of my mouth as someone walked by my house as I was cooking in the kitchen. Because he's like, I've always been in love with you. And she's like, no, you haven't. And he's like, look at the wall. And she's like wearing this green dress that he says matches her eyes. And she's like, oh, it matches my dress. And he's like, yeah, that dress isn't the only thing that matches your eyes. And I screamed and I was like, that man painted a wall the color of her eyes before they were dating. Like, it's supposed to be this, like, isn't it so romantic? And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, this
bothers me, but
this fails the Buscemi test on so many levels. Could you imagine if a guy you thought you hated and he hated you took you back to his apartment and he's like, do you see that color blue? It's the color of your eyes. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm gonna leave. I have an appointment. I've got to go. Thank you. Bye, Ben. Like, no. It's very creepy. Bothered. I hated it so much. The pacing on it was wild. There's a point where the dad is like, you're a glorified intern. And I'm like, he has a stable job at an MBA from Harvard. He's fine. This person doesn't understand. Yeah, he wasn't an intern at all. He like had a big ass job. And then their miscommunication was insane, Laura. Like, I don't understand people who like, after there's this big whole, like, I colored my wall the color of your eyes, there could be any miscommunication that this man is in love with you.
Right. Where they're like, I didn't know how you felt.
You are running away from the wrong red flag, lady, because you're running away from like something you overheard him saying to his boss versus him painting a wall the color of your eyes. You should have already run away. I'm mad at you for that already. And now I'm definitely not on board. It was terrible. And I hated it. And like, oh God.
I'm bothered.
It was so bad. And their romance made no sense whatsoever. Like, he shows up at her house and he's like, well, you promised to go to a wedding with me, but he didn't mention that he still planned on having her come. So like, she hadn't packed and she was just hanging out.
So like, did they kind of become friends? Or I'm confused how this goes from an inappropriate relationship to a relationship.
So it's like they kiss in an elevator one time and then he's kind of like, what are we doing? And she's like still dating another guy or whatever to like make sure he didn't. It was a book. Yeah. So I don't know the difference between the book and the movie. I've heard it's pretty terrible either way. Veronica read the book and she said she did like the book and it was better than the movie. So I'm assuming maybe it's better and maybe it actually makes sense because the pacing on this was insane. But like, they kiss one time in an elevator. She starts dating a different guy. He convinces everyone to go on a company retreat where she gets the flu. So he takes her home and takes care of her for the weekend in her apartment.
Oh, shocker. She gets sick and has to be cared for.
This was one of the funnier moments where he brings his brother over, who's a doctor. And she goes, oh my God, there's two of you. He must have gotten wet after midnight. And I'm like, that is actually a very funny Gremlins joke. I appreciate that joke and that joke alone, and everything else like was bad. So he takes care of her and then she's like, oh my gosh, I'll make it up to you. I'll go to your brother's wedding with you. But then like they never follow up on it. He just shows up at her house and he was like, well, you promised you go. And it's like, that's not a thing. And like at one point she tries to seduce him and he doesn't want to because she makes it seem like it's just going to be a one night stand because that's what she wants. And he wants something real, Laura.
Well, the movie poster says love is war.
They were
And
never
her
in.
mug that she's holding says, "Go away, I'm reading."
Well, they both work for a publishing company.
Oh, they're readers. Okay.
They're readers.
So they're
It was
interesting
really
and deep.
It was really bad, Laura.
But she's not like the other girls she reads.
And he calls her Shortcake as a nickname.
Because she's short.
And she's from a town that grows strawberries.
Small one. Small town.
So that was the movie I watched.
Was their town festival that they had to save the day?
They didn't, unfortunately, but they did have to save the company. So that's similar.
Close. They're still within the realm of a Hallmark movie.
I know. It was bad. And then I watched Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which was very good, but the pacing was a little off as well, but in a different way and an actually good movie versus that's like a legitimate critique I had versus great horror elements, really good job. Wish they had like developed the Wanda Maximoff character a smidge more. Just because the pacing on her was really off. It wasn't like a lot of people have had, again, sexist remarks about it, where they're like, oh my God, she wasn't developed. No, she was. It was more the pacing of finding out was way too fast. Like there were, it was just a little wild the way he was like deciding to take up time. But you know, it was really good. I enjoyed it. Now I've watched it, so I'm caught up on my superhero stuff.
Are you all caught up on all the Avengers stuff?
Yeah, I've watched everything. Gosh. Oh, wow, wait.
What a task.
No, I have watched everything. Yeah. I don't remember everything, but I've watched everything.
How could you remember everything? I mean, there's just too much.
They have all the same beats. So much of it is just exited my head, kind of like anything dealing with the Red Wolf conspiracy if we ever cover it on the pod.
Just forget all of it.
I'll just forget everything. The second we get done with Wheel of Time, someone's going to bring something up and I'm going to be like, what? What happened in this book? I mean, oh my God. If we do a year later, there is a quiz, I am going to fail it. I just know. Like,
I mean, I forget things within the book. So
fair enough. All right. But should we get into it?
Yes, this is the part that I am not enjoying.
It's the final countdown.
We'll get there, but there was a part in this chapter that I did not enjoy.
Well, we're about to get there. So we got it on Rand. And he's in a large city and what the two rivers in a world he has constructed. But in this world, no one has free will. So the Dark One is like, this is a shitty world.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're making people suffer just as much as I am because you took away any choice of happiness they ever had. And Rand is like, but isn't happiness total peace, whether you like it or not? And he's like, no, it's not. It's a really shitty move on your part, Rand. And then we got on over to Sylviana, who's attacking the Sharans with fire. The tower forces have split in two, and the infantry attacking on the heights, and the other half, the cavalry, to the corridor. They're going after Trollocs. Sylviana sees Egwene go pale and thinks she's under attack, but Egwene tells her Gawain has been injured. I have to go after him. But Sylviana says it's too dangerous and suggests that Egwene pass the bond to her. Egwene is like, how dare you, Sylviana? I could never pass my bond away to you to save everyone. Because apparently in the last couple chapters, Egwene loses all sense of self, and Gawain is her downfall. Awesome.
Here's the thing. It was like not that long ago that she was like, I gotta get out of here. It looks like Gawain's coming. And now she's like, I can't do anything without him. Like,
because marriage makes women stupid, Laura. Didn't you know that? That's the message of this novel.
I guess that's the theme.
Elaine is looking across a riverbed where she sees a large number of Sharans, Sharans.
Why not sound exactly the same?
I know. I was like, wait, I can't. My brain.
Candor.
Elaine, Egwene, Nynaeve, Moraine. Yeah. Okay.
Moraine.
Machrain.
Whatever.
Brigitte tells Elaine that she suddenly has memories of her current life. Galad asks her why Matt wanted him there, but she has no idea. A messenger arrives with a note from Matt. It's a note telling him to do what must be done, along with a copy of his medallion that Elaine made. They don't understand, so Galad turns the page over and sees further instructions that he is to go and kill as many as Sharon channelers as he can. Bryn also arrives to help tell her that Gawain has been that way and that no one knows where he is.
I'm annoyed that Galad gets so much to do.
Gawain needs something to do, and it's to fuck everyone over.
Well, Galad.
Galad.
The one that I'm thinking of, because it seems like he gets so much to do in this. I'm like,
that's because all of a sudden they were like, what if we redeemed the one character you didn't care about?
He's handsome and related to Rand.
That's it. That's all he brings to the table. But Matt is like, go do what you will. I trust you. And Perrin's like, I trust that fascist. And Rand's like, that's brother. Hey, brother.
Finally, Berline's over there eyeing him, and yeah.
I'm in love with your brother-in-law. Michael, no, that's your brother.
Mi hermano.
Brother-in-law, you're in love with me. No, I'm in love with Job, my brother-in-law. I'm in love with Tobias, my brother-in-law. Oh, sorry.
Great.
Matt's looking out at the battle thinking, I'm so smart. He hopes Tam can hold long enough for Lan and the Borderlanders to strike near the flank. Logain enters and Matt tells him he needs the Ashaman to help the Aes Sedai. Logain tells him it is not his war, but Matt is like, this is everyone's war. You need
if
to
you
let
just
it
walk
go.
away from this right now, I'll punch you.
Hey, guess what? You want to know all the ties that Brando Sando wrapped up? Everything except Logain hating the Reds. He will go to his grave thinking that they betrayed him. That's it.
Yep.
He says he and his men should be at Shal Ghul, but Matt realizes he doesn't really mean this. Logain tells him that none of them are able to face Demon Dread, and Matt realizes Logain wants to. Matt knows what he has to do something about Demon Dread, and even though Logain stands little chance, he may be a distraction, so he gives him permission.
Which is funny that he's just like, okay, you have to help me. He's like, I don't want to help, but you guys are not capable of taking on Demon Dread. He's like, go ahead if you want to. I think that's hilarious.
I love that viewing. I never thought about it that way. Matt suggested to Anne that they move her to safety, but she can protect herself. I can protect myself.
Why does she talk so slow?
I don't know.
Did you listen to it, Hannah? Did you go back and listen to it?
I didn't.
You have to.
That's a gift just for you, Laura.
You have to go back and listen to it. I'm going to send you a clip.
Okay, send me a clip. That'll work. She chooses to pretend that Matt is they're in a fight, so he can fake a split with Sunchen. Two guards enter, and Matt notices that there is a gray man with them. He sees him pull out a knife as one of them shouts that there's channeling nearby. And then Min saves Tuon like a dumbass.
Why?
Why?
Let her
not die. Yeah, and then she sees Tuon costume change and run to Matt. And then Min starts running, encountering a male Ayad who throws at him before being killed by Swan stopping his heart. She tells Swan that Swan was supposed to stay near Gareth if she wanted to live. And Swan is like, I did that. We saved each other's lives. And Min is like, no, the danger still exists. Oh, what a Deus Machina of a chapter. And then Swan tells her it is more important to save Matt, even if it costs both their lives. They see Matt fighting 3 gray men and 1 surviving Damani, who won't do anything as her Suldam is dead. She sees one of the gray men has left Matt and is about to kill Tuon, who she saves. She sees Tuon dead, and with Matt and Tuon steps outside. I hated how Swan just gets killed so fucking fast.
Yeah,
I hated that too.
I am bothered by that because Siwan is like one of the capable characters that unfortunately had a lot of bad things happen to her and was just very selfless, and then just like psh, gone.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have Min, who is doing
Nothing.
and she, as far as we know, did not have very many skills, but now she is saving people left and right and giving viewings left and right, when before she was like, no, I'm not even gonna advertise that I have viewings.
I'm not gonna do that.
And I really just thought that she would kind of be over on the side taking notes for Loyal or something like that while he's fighting so that he can write his book. But I guess that's not
gonna happen. She has a great journey.
Siwan dies, and I'm bothered.
I mean, same. This chapter kind of sucks when it starts being like, hey, who can we murder? And it's like, oh, all the greatest people. Yeah. Egwene instructs the Aes Sedai with her to try and stop the Sharon's weaves while she attacks, intending to fight her way to get to Colin. Demandred is screaming, where are you, Luz Theron?
Last time his name is Rand.
His name was Rand. He has red hair.
He's a grown man.
I'll talk to Luz there because that's my favorite baby Jesus.
Grown man, he had a beard.
For the last time, where are you, Luz Theron? I'm gonna get you. I now think you're Matt, even though I've had multiple dreams of Rand.
What an idiot. Like, why are the Forsaken so dumb?
No.
They're just dumb.
But anyway, Demandred is like watching through the gates and gateways, and he's like, oh, the battle is going to even things out. He considers traveling, but he's concerned about going into a trap. He wonders why the resistance encountered when diverting the river was a small unit of soldiers and townspeople, because no one could defeat him except Luz Theron.
Except everyone, because you're easily tricked. There's Luz Theron over there. Where?
But he finds out that one of the people failed and Matt escaped. But he's like, oh, you weren't supposed to kill him anyway because he's beyond your skill. Then why send her?
Right.
It is enough that she disrupted his command post. Demandred still suspects that Matt is Luz Theron in disguise, but feels he can't prove it. No fucking shit. He's not. And he's like, this takes centuries to learn. And he admits to himself that in general, Luz Theron was more accomplished than he was, but Demandred was a better general. And he thinks that Cawthon is really Luz Theron, he is better general than he was in the Age of Legends. And he's like wondering if he'll actually win. One of them tells him that she doesn't see his actions as evil, as he will remake the world and preserve her people. Because people are, I mean, I get that in a theme in a better book, but this kind of failed.
It didn't work. But.
Yeah. And he's like, I wonder what will happen once Luz Theron is dead and the world has been remade. Taim arrives through a true power gateway. He mocks Demandred for losing the battle near the ruins, and Demandred has 24 of his Ayad shield him, but Taim seizes the true power and fights back. Demandred shields him with the true power shield. A true power shield. And pulls energy out of him. And the intense use of the true power begins to unravel the pattern. He tells Taim to keep away from him, from Luz Theron.
At what point does some of this magic become corny? Because
I mean, when you have a true power shield, it's a little
to me
corny.
Where it's like when you're reading it, sometimes it's kind of like me just picturing I have the true power shield. I'm just like, come on. Just no.
They're weaving different spirits. It's just the true power that, you know. He pulls energy out of Taim, and the intense use of the true power begins to unravel the pattern. He tells Taim to keep away from him, but from Luz Theron and from the enemy general. But other than that, he doesn't care what chaos he creates. He turns and weaves balefire from the true power, destroying hundreds of the forces of light. He tells Taim to go and is amazed that he's able to travel with the true power. This is very silly. The dark one is like, I'm gonna win, Rand. I'm a win. And shows him other possible futures. Julian leads a squad against a Sharon troop. Andrel and Pavara are still talking in their minds.
Why are they so prevalent?
And they're wearing inverted masks and mirrors to like sneak into the dark friends. She's not pleased when he tells her she looks good in black. Andral is disguised as Nenson and Amaran as Cash. Pavara is disguised as Alviarin and, others. Pavara wonders about some of the battle tactics, and Andral is able to telepathically explain some of what is going on. Oh,
why do they have to telepathically explain it?
I don't know. Also, you could just say a sentence of like, he explained to her in the mind, but like they go into so much detail that does not need to happen. An old man interrupts them and says he will take them to the wild. She thinks of how she had intended to take multiple Ushman warders, but like with the fact that Andral is so jealous, can't. Oh God. And then Andral is shocked when she's like, hey, Amaran is gay because gay people exist.
I'm shocked that they even said it, but okay.
I mean, apparently they see Demandred, who tells them that if he sees any dreadlords away from the fight against the White Tower forces, he will make them wish he had given them to the Trollocs. And then he realizes where to find time. Galad is feeling the last battle may end with the world. As he hunts Shar and Channelers, he sees 3 of them and approaches. Like they can't get past his little charm. Gulliver comes to tell him that this is a great day and the children should have done more about this in the past. One of them tells him that he has found Gawain, and Galad goes to see him. They see him lying between 2 rocks, and Galad assumes he is dead. Gawain speaks and tells Galad that he had failed. Galad tells him not to die and that he won't be left without a brother.
Gawain says, no, you still have another brother. It's Rand.
Because that's definitely what Galad was talking about. So
don't worry, I'm disposable.
As long as there is a brother, I'm fine. Okay, good.
Which once he finds out, he's like, cool, okay, see you later, Gawain.
Gawain is so stupid.
Maybe if he hadn't revealed that there was another brother, Galad would have tried harder to like keep him alive.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, there's another brother. All right, see ya. Just get it.
Yeah. Leaves him.
I needed a brother and a sister. I got a brother. I got a sister. I'm good.
And he's like, don't hate Rand.
I used to hate him. Okay, what?
I hated him so much for no reason, but you shouldn't.
What a terrible deathbed scene for someone. This man only loved one woman and had 0 other interests. And with his dying breath, is like, dumb. Hey, remember that guy I hated for a while? Don't hate him. That's a terrible deathbed scene. What the fuck?
Don't worry, brother. You have somebody else.
Not like, I just want to see a queen one more time.
I was going to say, why couldn't it have been about a queen? Like, why did it have to be the 2 of them? And
don't hate Rand. Goodbye.
Hate Rand.
Oh, and then Galad is like, I must avenge the brother I no longer care for. I've got my substitute brother. It's fine. I'm going to go protect substitute brother. Hey, brother.
Oh, this is so dumb.
Oh, God. Egwene feels Gawain die and lashes out with the power until Sylviana makes her realize she's out of control. Someone weaves the gateway and she leads the battle through it. This also sucks because it's just like all about Gawain. And she's like, oh my God, even like you should have pretty much murdered yourself within the second he died. We're all shocked you can do this. We're shocked you can still hold the power. Oh my God, a woman is no woman without a man. Ugh. Tam saves a White Cloak. The Legion of the Dragon is halting Trollocs. He feels that there's no way to retreat. And he's like, no one's going to come. We don't have enough arrows. He splits the forces into 2 wedges, and Tam leading one and someone else another. They attack. Tuon refuses demonic healing because she's like,
Tuon.
She's like, it's useful, but I think they're slaves. So what are you going to do? She realizes that the Death Watch guards who allowed the assassins through will need punishment, so as to deny it them would be to deny them their honor. She instructs one of them to go to the enemy and fight the Marath Damani directly. She raises Min to the blood. Tuan decides that it's time to misdirect the spy. She tells Matt that he holds the ultimate responsibility for the attack and is surprised to see Gulgan frown and that Matt has already converted him. She's like, I'm supposed to be in power and only me. She's like, you're not serious enough. It's supposed to be me. How dare you? Matt laughs at her, and Tuan's the only one to see an omen behind him, twin lines of smoke. Because remember, all magic isn't real unless it's Tuan's magic. Matt's like, I've had it with you. And he takes some sunshine to go into battle. She tells sunshine with her that other than the Death Watch guards, they're returning to Abu Dar. She hopes the spy will simply see a young woman foolish enough to want to fight her own and believe the ploy. Rand goes into another world that could exist. He's surprised to see it doesn't have any decay and devastation of the previous other worlds. When a street vendor kills a street urchin without a second thought and starts to look at Rand as though she could do the same to him, Rand begins to grow suspicious.
That's when he grows suspicious.
I mean, Rand goes to all of these places and he's like, this is a world I could live in? Okay, tell me more. Rand spends too long in these. I don't understand. He as he and the Dark Ones stand out there looking at each other.
I know. They're just trapped there and okay.
Yeah, he goes to the Queen's Blessing. He doesn't recognize the door guard, but he sees Basil Gill. Gill tries to rob him and seems amazed at the idea that there would be laws against theft, saying that like any man gets to do what he wants. He doesn't deserve it. Rand realizes that the Dark One took people's consciousness. He tells Shaitan that he will show him the world's opposite. Matt walks away from Tuan, a little concerned. She means what she's saying. Oh my God, Matt, you guys literally agreed on a strategy. And you're like, I hope she didn't mean it. He asks men to stay with her and watch. He kind of goes to the front line to keep fighting. And they see like the fact that Matt does not call the Empress Tuan as a bad omen. Tam keeps fighting Trollocs. He is not as strong as he once was. And some men still lack the understanding of the void. The Trollocs turn and break as the Borderlanders arrive, forcing them into a vice with the Legion of the Dragons. He's held their positions. Lan rides over, and he had wondered if the man who gave Rand his sword had earned it, but now he knows, because Lan suddenly has a personality in the last 3 chapters of this book. Nobody cares about Lan anymore. You stole all of his personality.
There's so many things that they're trying to do now that it's too late.
I know. But Tam says that the battle is not done and that Daemon Dread has sent a smaller force. Lan leaves just before Gateway opens from Mayene, bringing refugees from Camelin who had insisted on being brought to battle. Tam thinks the battle is not the place for them, but when he sees them retrieving arrows, he thinks they can be used because this is a battle for the world. So stop having just stop. If people want to fight because the end of the world is here, then let them fight. I don't know. Brigitte tells Elaine that the command post at Dashar Knob has fallen and Sunshine have retreated. Elaine says she'll take charge until they hear from Nat. She realizes that the Trollocs are slowly surrounding them and that their position is poor because, again, the Trollocs just multiplied so quickly. They're attacked by Dimondred, who sends balefire to them and demands that Luz there and come to him as he hunts the woman Luz loves. Again, he knows who Luz there and loves, but he thinks Matt is Luz there.
He thinks Matt is him, but then when he encounters Galad, which
he also
knows.
Yeah,
that's next. And Galad's like looking for Luz Theron. Here's his brother, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you kind of look alike." And I'm like, "How do you think that?
You thought it was Matt?" Okay, anyway, Brigitte instructs one of the people to raise a banner and ride in the opposite direction as a decoy. Elaine is not happy, and this is effectively a death sentence, but Brigitte makes her realize it is necessary. So much of Elaine is like, I am being unreasonable for a battle, and Brigitte being like, you're being unreasonable, and Elaine being like, well, she has points.
Yeah,
yeah,
basically.
Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, Galad rides towards Demandred, kills male channeler, and he's like, I'm the Dragon Reborn's brother. And he's like, you know what? I don't think it's Matt anymore. I think it's Rand, and I shall kill you to try to get him here. Demandred steps forward, and Galad thinks he looks like Rand, as they have a similar sense to them. Demandred says he is displeased that Luce Theron is ignoring him, and the two begin to fight.
Also, this is stupid on Galad's part to be like, I'm the Dragon Reborn's brother, because then Demandred is like off the whole stupid, I think it's Matt trail.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you idiot.
Anyway, Nynaeve is trying to use herbs to help Alana. I know. Matt encounters Bashir at the back of the Andoran lines. Bashir has become a king of Saldea, off screen, but he refuses to be crowned. Elaine's forces are holding, but they're in danger. Matt has the band and the Andoran cavalry engaging the Trollocs. He sends Bashir to Lan with instruction to engage the Trollocs. He rides towards the Dragonsworn and sees Loyal and other Ogier, including some of the gardeners, breaking a Trolloc fist. He takes the Ogier and continue to the Dragonsworn. And he's just kind of getting people to fight all the Trollocs everywhere. Yeah. Egwene wakes to hear Sylviana and Rosal discussing her and realizing that she is in Mayene. They tell her she should rest, but she replies she can't afford it. She tells her to go get one of the Sangreal. Sylviana hesitates, but Egwene insists, and they reluctantly agree. She says she'll need another warder and chooses Leolwyn, who is not Leolwyn, but what was her other name?
Oh, let me think here. I'll just look it up.
I'm doing the same thing. Egyanin. We did it.
Yeah.
Okay, so she chooses Egyanin because she's like, you said you wanted to serve me for the rest of your life. Now you'll do it. I need a warder, and it be you, because Egwene has gone crazy in the last chapter, unfortunately, which is highly problematic, and apologies for the problematic terminology, but that is the way the author is treating her, and I hate it. Demandred and Galad fight in the darkness, lit by Sharon torches. He enters Demandred, impressing him. Galad grabs him, but his muscles give out from an earlier wound, and he drops his sword. Demandred strikes, severing his right arm at the elbow. Demandred strikes again, and all goes black. Andral, who's disguised as Nensen, and his companions look for Taim on the heights. He sees Mishrael and Taim holding one of the seals. Taim asks him what he's doing, and Andral tells him Demandred's message that he would kill any Dreadlord who is out of position. Taim places a mask of Pierce on Andral, making him look like himself, and tells him to go kill Logain. Andral stumbles, and as he gets up, steals Taim's pouch containing the seals. This part I was like, man, or Brando Sando thinks he is being hilarious.
I was gonna say, it's like, ooh, look what I did. Like, no.
I know. Demandred is like, Lucille, your brother lies dying, and that he is the true savior of the world. One of them charges and hits a Trolloc, which backs him down as it dies. When he wakes, Lan tells him that a second army of Dragonsworn, accompanied by a banner of cavalry, had attacked the left flank and broke the Sharans apart. A flash of light reveals the sheer number of Trollocs, and Arganda thinks that each man would have to kill at least 5 of them. Okay. Rand weaves the thread of the pattern into a possible world, feeling it resist as he does, creating a world without the Dark One. He walks into the palace in Camelin and passes windows, gateways to other places, showing a rebuilt Melchior, Tyr, and Ruidian, surrounded by Cora fields. He sees a stone slab and what was the blasted land where his body had been buried after the last battle. He sees Elaine, who wonders if her daughter had pranked her with a mask of mirrors. When she realizes it is Rand, she will invite Avienda, who is playing with the children in Ruidian. As she babbles on, Rand looks into her eyes and sees a shadow, similar to that in the eyes of someone who has been turned. He realizes that the Dark One is not merely the source of evil, he's a manifestation of evil, and that by removing him from existence, he has taken away the ability to do or be evil, condemning people to be insipid and vacuous. He realizes the world he created is horrible. Again, a world without choice sucks.
A world where Elaine babbles on is horrible.
What an insipid and vacuous woman, so different than the other woman I love. Sort of. I mean, if you look at her, like if you squint your eyes a little, a lot of her remain the same, kind of. But now she's like vacuous in a way that like it's not palatable anymore. So I guess this is a bad world. Yep, you're right. This is a nightmare.
Amazing.
That was an amazing joke. Good job, Laura. Matt sits on a dead Trolloc.
What was the point of that? Why was he doing that?
I don't know. Demandred didn't take his bait at the ford, having sent only Trollocs and not Sharons. He's trying to get behind Elaine's forces, but Matt's trying to hold them off. He sees something attack the Sharons and watches them flee across the heights. Ulver and Fael group walk through the blasted lands. They had attacked a shadow supply train, defeating a merchant. They freed a string of captives, many of whom accompany them into a supply dump. On their way in, they're stopped, and Aravine claims to be Ansai, Lifa's partner. They are allowed through. A plump woman weaves a gateway, and Aravine waves them through. On the other side, they see Dragon Mountain in the distance as the body of a member of the Band of the Red Hand falls down a slope behind them and into the fire. Aravine comes through and points at Fael, and 3 people are captured by air. Aravine apologizes and tells them she has a dark friend who thought she could escape her vows, but she intends to take the horn to Demandred. Ulver thinks on what Matt would do and launches himself at the woman in white, stabbing her in the lower back. Liani and other Aes Sedai fight the Sharons. They are attacked by Mael, Ayad, and Doacine is killed. Liani feels pride at the way the Aes Sedai are holding out. She goes to one of them, who tells her she would like to know if there really is a way to make a man do as you wish. Because men are, God, even this death scene can't pass the fucking Bechdel test. They see the Sharons have replaced the troops who had drawn away earlier with what looks like villagers. Raishan is still able to call lightning on them. Mundawan suggests pulling back to regroup at Dashar Knob, but before they have a chance to, Egwene walks through them and releases a dozen flows of fire, killing Sharn channelers. Tomalinus and some of the band are in a cavern somewhere with no exit. I love that it says they're in a cavern somewhere.
That's what it says, somewhere?
Yeah, they're in a cavern somewhere.
We don't know where they are.
Found by one of the Ashmen trying to repair the dragons. He speaks with Denel, but decides it's too quiet, so starts singing Jack of the Shadows. He thinks they will take part in the battle if they have to blast their way out. The bonds holding Fael vanish, and Aravine jumps on a horse and flees. Fael gets on Bella and gives chase. She's also like, oh my God, this tiny horse. The way they always are like, hey, it's Bella. I'm going to describe Bella in great details so you know
we know
Bella.
who it is.
We know who it is. Trollocs move to bar her way, but one is killed by Harnan and Vannon, and the others knocked out of her way, allowing Fael to pass. They explain, oh my God, I hated this so much, where she's like, I thought you were here to steal the horn. It's like the David from Schitt's Creek being like, I texted Alexis. Where she's like, I thought you were here to steal the horn. And they're like, no, we were trying to get Matt's to back. And she's like, oh, this whole situation could have been avoided. Awesome. Oh, that's a miscommunication on our part. My bad. Come back in, guys. So they had allowed themselves to be captured and were preparing to free the captives and escape. They break off and intercept other riders, and Fael continues after Aravine. She throws a knife, hitting her in the back and reclaiming the horn. With Bella near exhaustion, she considers swapping horses, but as she is doing so, hears Ulver and hands him the horn, asking him to take it to Matt. Logain asks why Taim didn't break the seals, but no one knows. He wonders if he will ever have vengeance, but thinks vengeance seems empty. Oh God, Logain, well, also a nothing character who could have been someone great. His Ashmen are in a small camp below the bogs. He takes off his dragon pin and raises Andrel to full Ashmen. Favara tells him he should take the seals to the Aes Sedai as they belong to the White Tower, but he replies that the Amerlin is as good as dead and he is fitting steward. He tells them he's going to find Demandred, and others are to deal with Taim's men and the Sharn channelers, apart from Gabriel, who is to wait for him. He thinks that if he can get Demandred's Sangreal, the world would tremble for him in the Black Tower. Egwene leads an attack on the Sharn, seeking out Taim. Narishima gives a warning, and she sends everyone away, apart from him, Maurice, and Agyanan. We cut on over to Isla, who's scouring the battlefield for survivors. they're talking about the way of the leaf. Again, like weird thing to come in at the end to be like,
Right.
oh my God, I miss my grandson who tried to kill Perrin. And the way of the leaf should be followed, and we should all be free, and there could be ponies and rainbows and butterflies. Okay. Overrides Bella, but a Trolloc arrow hits and kills her. He sees a crack in a rocky outcrop and is able to squeeze himself into it. Logain hurls himself through a gateway, strikes Dumundred, weaving fire, but the Sharns throw themselves in the way, giving Dumundred time to defend himself. Logain sees that, and Doran Pike formation are close to failing, after which it will be a rout. He and Dumundred fight with the power, Dumundred weaving a death gate that leaves a trail of lava, some of which splashes. Okay. Again, the splashing and the falling. Ow! That was hard. That was hot.
If lava splashes you, that's gonna be more than just a splash. It's like that's very damaging.
He acts like he accidentally grabbed a curling iron or something. Like, ow!
I think they act like it's just like a small little like grease popping out of a frying pan type situation. It's like it's lava.
The floor is lava. Okay.
This is serious.
Logain weaves lightning at him, but Dumundred creates a weave which dissipates it harmlessly and shields Logain. He begins to weave balefire, and Logain throws a rocket. God! The imagery.
They just give up and they're like, crap, this isn't working. Give me a rock.
Imagine, like, Dumundred is waving his arms, like, about to weave balefire. Logain just takes a rock and he's like, shoo!
I just imagine, like, a desperate attempt from Logain where he's, like, trying to do things and then he just like gets desperate and just like reaches down and grabs a rock like as a distraction.
It's like Nynaeve where the one woman was like trying to fight her and she's like, I'm just gonna punch her.
Yeah,
stop using the power for every little thing. It's stupid.
Sometimes just use a rock.
Anyway, Logain throws a rock at him, striking him and causing him to drop the shield. Logain quickly prepares a shield and a gateway, and as Dumundred destroys the shield, he goes through the gateway and back to be healed by Gabriel. Egwene fights Taim and comes close to shielding him, but he balefires the shield and travels away using the true power. She launches herself at the Sharans. Huron is fighting on the Pall of Heights, trying to prevent the Trollocs from taking it. He's like, oh my gosh, I fight for Rand. It's awesome. And Matt's army is beginning to flounder. Barrelane organizes a healing and talks with one of them about Gyshain fighting. And they're like, we don't allow Gyshain to fight. She's like, it's the end of the world. Can you do it this one time?
Like, how about just once?
They explain to her. And then one of them comes in and they're like, Galad is upstairs. And she's like, oh my gosh.
She's like, ooh, hot.
I know. They found him while Dumundred was distracted fighting Logain and brought him back.
Because of the rocks.
Because of the rocks. Imagine these people like trying to like crawl around a mountain with this unforsaken. And they're like, drag him away. He won't notice. Come on. Like, so silly. But the person burned themselves out in the process of trying to save Galad because all women should sacrifice themselves for men. Rand watches people fight and die for him. He refuses to give in, and the Dark One prepares one final world. On the heights, Taim can see the Trollocs control the corridor between the heights and the bogs to the south, and he thinks the key to the battle is to destroy the Aes Sedai. Dumundred arrives and asks him how it is he failed, and he tells him that Egwene had a sangreal. Dumundred gives him a Sakarnen, saying he won't need it if lose then comes, as their strength might be matched if he is to show himself the better. Again, a stupid thing. If you want to win, just win. Stop needing rules. That doesn't make sense. Don't do that. Taim thinks him insane, far worse than when they first met.
Far worse than when they first met. Wow, he's really gone off the deep end.
He's like holding the sangreal and he's like, this is really awkward.
10 minutes ago when he thought that it was Matt was not the point where he was gonna...
10 minutes ago I saw you and we whispered our how do you do's. Now the world is receding and you keep on repeating how loose their hand must loose.
Oh yes,
I wrote songs as a child, guys. As he leaves, Demandred tells him that Sakharin is bonded to him, and if Taim tries to use it against him, he will destroy Taim, which is good because Taim was like, I could probably use this against him. I could like murder
He's
him.
like the ultimate Benedict Arnold.
He's just sitting there like, I could kill him. And he's like,
he's so quick to be like, who can I betray?
That's amazing. But he tells Taib to use balefire against the Amerlin. Elaine has retreated to the ruins. There's a group of mercenaries disguised as refugees attacking her and her guards. She channels at one and the weave dissipates. She realizes the man holds one of her foxhead medallions and it's Hanlon. He grabs her, David Hanlon from accounting. And he grabs her and presses it to her skin. His comrades bring Brigitte and he kills her by beheading Brigitte. It's really sad. I did not like this. And he like, it's also a really weird time to suddenly bring rape into the story because he's like, I'm going to rape you after I pull the babies out of your body.
Like, the Dark One wants your babies. Ugh.
That escalated so quickly and got so dark, Lord. Like, I
know
sorry.
It's one of those things where it's like Elaine would be like, "You killed my friend. I'm gonna kill you," and he's like, "Oh yeah,
well, I'm gonna rape you after I rip the babies out of your body." What?
That escalated quickly.
That escalated so quickly, and it was not necessary to this plotline.
Yeah.
Why? I was
didn't need to be there
in this section. I really hated the Hanlon character. I thought it did not need to happen. But anyway, they dress up a body to make it look like Elaine. And yeah, the Dark One wants her babies. He will cut them out and keep them alive with the weave the Chosen taught him. Weird weave to learn. That's all I'm gonna say. The Dark One chose Rand, the final possibility, and then it says dash oblivion.
People that write these.
This is comedic brilliant.
I know.
The Dark One chose Rand, the final possibility. Oblivion.
Nothing. Final possibility is nothing.
Min doesn't know where she's at. Gulgan says that Matt has requested that the Sunshine return, but one of them argues that Matt has proven himself reckless and doesn't have the confidence in him. Two of them disagree. Tylee also says she thinks they should return. They say Matt fought well, but it's overmatched. Min sees a chain above one of their heads and realizes he's being used as a spy under compulsion. She looks around to see if she can see who's controlling him and sees that it's one of the Sojin. But she's like, I'm not sure if it's her. So she announces that there is a spy for the shadow. The Sojin looks up and Min is sure. She announces it's Yulin. And then she sees the relief of the Sojin's face, throws a knife at her, which is held in air. The woman flees through a gateway. Tuan tells Gulgan to gather his troops and they're to return to Merilor. Egwene is fighting. Egyanin is trying to help her. And she tells her that Logain has the seals. Time's balefire kills half a dozen Aes Sedai, undoing several hours of their lives and restoring many Sharans. Mm-hmm. This is just, the rules are not consistent.
Convenience.
It's so convenient. Egwene considers responding with balefire of her own, but realizes it could make things worse. Lylin tells her that she must, or Egyanin tells her that she must leave as they're being overrun. Egwene thinks on Perrin's words that balefire is just a weave and creates her own weave because Perrin was
Perrin
right
were always
all
around
along.
to simplify everything for us so we could just do things easily.
So she tries her own weave. One she had tried on the cracks, but much stronger. I hate that she thinks as the flame of Tar Valon. She releases it against the balefire, overcoming it and shooting it up Taim's arm, causing him to crystallize from the inside. She realizes that if she releases the power, she will be burned out. She tells Egyanin to break the seals at the moment the light shines, releasing the bond and pushing her through a gateway. Surrounded by hundreds of Sharan channelers, she draws in more power and releases her new weave, killing them and sealing the cracks Taim created. And then we cut on over because Egwene can't even have her own moment to die, and Rand must see her die. So
I like screamed at this moment. I was like ready to throw the book across the room.
I would have if I had been reading it. I was listening to it, and I actually knew that Egwene died, so I was not shocked. But I was.
I mean, I could have guessed something bad was happening because there were so many hints about her being tired, and like then when something happened to Gowan, there was just a lot of hints about it, and I was like, okay, maybe it won't happen, maybe it won't, maybe it won't, but it did. And it was bad.
Yeah. But anyway, Rand gets to see Egwene die. We don't even get one of her actual loved ones see it.
She gets added to the list.
Her death means something, I guess, to Rand, but no one else. Okay. Liani sees the shards crystallize at the top of a 50-foot high column of crystal. She sees Forest Sangreal and realizes the Amerlin has fallen. Then we cut on over to Galad being like, Berelain, take this medallion back to Matt. Okay. We cut on over to Matt, where he hears that Egwene and half the Aes Sedai are dead, as are the Sharn channelers. With the remaining Aes Sedai too weak to channel, Matt has joined his surviving forces together. Strung out across the heights, they're defending on two fronts as the Trollocs have broken through to the east. They tell him that Elaine, Davram, and the 6 Aiel clan chiefs are dead. So everyone's just dead right now, except for Elaine, because of course she gets to live.
All Rand's lovers get to live.
Yep. But Egwene has to die. Trollocs try to get to Oliver. Loyal sees Lan burst from the rank of soldiers and tells Aerith he is going to witness the fall of the last king of Melkir. Arganda is lining up his men for a charge that Tam expects to fail. Tam sees Lan riding to Demandred, his way blocked by Trollocs, and orders his men to fire on them. He looses a burning arrow. Lan rides at the Trollocs wearing the medallion he got from Berelain. Burning arrows rain down on them, creating an opening. He dismounts to save Mandarb and attacks Demandred, exchanging 3 blows and drawing blood. Demandred says, "Who are you?" And Lan says, "I'm the man who will kill you." I want to braid your hair.
Full circle.
Min rides a Torm through a gateway back to the field of Marilor. Rand sees Lan fight Elaine captive, Ruark a slave to Grendel, and Matt. He thinks he has failed, but he hears a voice at the back of his mind. Let it go. Let it go. Let it Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go. Okay.
I'll never bother her anyway.
Oh, it can make everything so small. Okay. Lan and Demandred fight. Lan avoiding rocks. Demandred throws at him with the power. Hey,
why did they think that was a brilliant idea?
I'm gonna throw rocks at him.
I never think of throwing rocks.
Lan and Demandred fight. Lan avoiding rocks. Demandred throws at him with the power. But Demandred is the better swordsman. He doesn't believe anyone of the Third Age could have the skill that Lan shows and stops him talking and uses the power to concentrate on the sword. Finally, he tells Lan that he has him and that he can't win. Thinking of the time he taught Rand sheathing the sword, Lan replies that Demandred didn't listen, that he wasn't there to win, but to kill him.
You're not listening.
And he does. And I kept it. Okay. And we're finally out of the longest chapter alive. Chapter 38.
9 hours.
Rand hears his father's voice telling him to let it go. Then Egwene's telling them that he must allow other people to sacrifice as well, because she must sacrifice. He lets go of the guilt at not protecting them and the need to do so. He lets go of the list he carried that had once been the women who died for him, but which had grown into all the people who had. It didn't. He just stopped taking the list. Ileana was the last, and he feels as though a giant weight has been lifted from his shoulders. He stands up once more to face Shadow.
Cool.
Demandred is dead, and they announce it. The battlefield seems to grow still. What a dumb reason for it to go still. Rand looks
because there's no rocks flying around.
Rand looks outside of time and sees the Dark One not as a being, but a force as wide as the universe. He feels more attacks coming from the Dark One, but shrugs them off, thinking that if those fighting won't give in, why should he? He seeks the void and tells the Dark One that he doesn't control the world. Moyle returns to the northern end of the heights to tell Matt that Demandred and Lan are dead. Matt leads the charge. Rand, speaking in all caps,
It
says that.
says speaking in all caps. It's an angry text.
Oh my gosh. This person who's doing the chapter by chapter really broke down just as much
They're
as we did in this
dedicated.
book.
A+.
He tells the Dark One, this isn't about you. He can only win if he breaks people and that he can't win. The Dark One replies that he can still kill and that all are his eventually, including the battle Lord. Rand stretches out his palm containing the world, and on the battlefield, 2 bodies on the ground. In all caps. This is about you. Matt fights, killing Trollocs, thinking that this is their chance to break them while the Shannons are in disarray. Rand hears the Dark One say he will take the Son of Battles as he took the King of Nothing. Arganda says they're being overwhelmed, that they need to step back, but Matt thinks he can do it, and he just needs a favorable toss of the dice, something to give momentum. Rand tells the Dark One that he was not watching closely enough, and he was very wrong about one thing. Ulver is like afraid he's about to die, and then
I know, this is sad.
Actually, no, the moment he was like, I think I'm gonna die, I was like, oh my God, how did I not see this before? And then I got really angry with myself. So Ulver blows the horn.
The horn of value.
Matt hears Rand in his head telling Shaitan he is wrong, that the one whom he has tried to kill, for whom he took everything, still fights. Lan stands up holding Demandred's hand. The battlefield goes still.
His head, not his hand.
Oh. I've been talking for a really long time, Laura. Give me that one.
He stands up holding his hand, and they're like,
so
where'd you get that hand?
He's holding his arm, and then he like lifts it up like in victory. It's just a dead body.
We
won. Okay, but anyway, the battlefield goes still. Why would it go that still? It's 2 people dead.
Going
you
still.
would still be fighting. Like, this doesn't make sense. I don't understand. Ugh.
They're just like, shh.
And then they hear the horn of Valier. Hanlon tells Elaine she should have been more accommodating. Ugh. She feels foolish for not listening to Brigitte, that just because her babes will die.
Stop.
Just stop me, she will. White mist rises from the ground, and Hanlon stiffens a silvery arrow through his chest. A second shot takes him on the head, and a third takes out the Dreadlord. She sees Brigitte standing over her corpse. She tells Elaine that the heroes of the horn have returned. Because, guys, if you weren't following along, Matt technically died after blowing the horn.
Yeah.
So it put it back to 0. And I was so mad at myself for not recognizing that. Were you mad at yourself too?
I mean, I wasn't mad, but I was just like, oh.
I was like, I'm so upset with myself for not catching that. These books are too long. Also, I got so mad at Elaine because she sees Brigitte and she's like, should I bond you again? No! Leave the woman alone! Leave her alone! No!
Stay away from her, Elaine. Like, don't touch anyone.
Don't touch anything. You're gonna ruin it with your
You've already ruined enough.
With your vacuous talk, okay?
Your babbling needs to stop.
Anyway, Matt fights through the shadows forest to land, grabbing him as he falls over. Narishima joins him and briefly heals him, bringing him back to consciousness. Matt wonders which side blew the horn and sees the heroes. Author Hawkwing steps to the front. As Matt sees one of them right off, Hawkwing tells Matt that they need the banner, but that they will not fight for the shadow. Yeah, and the weirdest, like, hey, these rules are really flimsy. They're like, we'd never fight for the shadow. They just wouldn't have blown the horn. And it's like, really? 14 books in, we're fighting this out? That's a really dumb reason.
Why were we that concerned with this horn then? If they would never blow it.
They needed their help, I guess. I don't know. Matt suggests that he can pull his men back and allow the heroes to fight, which amuses Hawkwing, as there are far too many, even for the heroes of the horn. Ulver continues to blow the horn. It's so cute. And it's ripped from his hands. Then he is pulled from his hiding place. He is dropped and looks up to see a figure fighting off a dozen Trollocs. He recognizes Noel. And he's like, oh my God, he was a hero. Oliver feels a great warmth for one of the people he has lost has come back to him. That was so freaking sweet.
Yeah, that was sweet.
With Hanlon's death, Elaine is able to move free and channel again. Her guard breaks through, and between them and Brigitte, the rest of the Dark Friend mercenaries are defeated. Brigitte tells Elaine she is off to join the other heroes, and Elaine should stay where she is. Elaine responds that her men believe her dead, and she needs to be the one to give them heart. She's so useless. Avienda is alone now. I have friends. I definitely have friends, friendly friends. Time to meet my friends.
I sing that every now and then. I'll just be like sitting at work and I'll be like, I have friends. I definitely have friends.
friends. Time to meet my friends. With half an eyelid. Okay. So Avienda is alone now that Rafaela has joined the Dragonsworn. Last stand at the cavern. Elias runs past her with a large pack of wolves to attack Darkhounds. I forgot Darkhounds existed, honestly. She sees Grendel ahead of her with a group of Aes Sedai and Wise Ones she has captured and sends a signal to the air to Amis and Ketyain. Grendel senses it and tries to shield her, but Avienda draws in Saidar throughout the turtle Angreal and is able to withstand her. Grendel attacks and Avienda is forced to run until Ketyain and Amis arrive. Elaine attacks the Trollocs, swinging a sword, prompting the surviving Andorans to gather around her. Matt, with his surviving forces, tries to push the enemy off the heights. Gateways open up and the sunshine pour in. He intends half the sunshine to join Elaine and the other to hit the Trollocs. He hears thunder and realizes that Talmanis and Aludra have mended the dragons and are now firing on the Sharans, and he thinks this is just one more piece to fall into place. Grady watches a canyon 10 miles or so northeast. He's angry with Matt for the way he sent villagers to fight at the river because he's like, why did he send us here? He orders or to make a gateway at dawn in the same village. He opens it and is astounded to see the same villagers and members of the band that have been killed the previous day because he used the magic town where people can't die to come back and attack the Trollocs. I hated that we never found out why they did that and they were just used to kill people.
I know.
I hate why. Anyway, Jonas tells the group that Matt has the dragons working again. Pavara doesn't expect them to last long, as Taim's men will be able to find them easily. Logain says that they're going to move west and orders every Ushman, soldier and dedicated, that don't have orders to look for the golden scepter Taim was holding when Egwene defeated him. And Andrel tells his group that they aren't going with Logain, as they already have their other orders to do something about Taim's lackeys. Camler says he is too tired to be of much use, and even Andrel is struggling to open a small gateway, his one trick. Pavara has an idea of how to do what they wish, and Andrel calls her a genius because he can read her mind. She says Taim's men are probably trying to destroy the dragons and that they are going to give them a surprise. Mogadine, who I literally forgot existed as well, stands over
Mogadine, whoever she is.
Mogden stands over Demandred's corpse and reaches for Saidar, finding instead the true power. She weaves the mask of mirror to make herself look like Demandred and travels to the backlines of the Sharans, where they are preparing to flee. She sees three Ayad, counting people. She thinks she understands battle well enough to take charge. An old man, a Sharan monk, claims that Mogadine is not Demandred, and she kills him. She's accepted and tells them to gather Trollocs and send them to the ruins to attack Caemlyn refugees. She asks them why they haven't removed the dragons and is told that there are only a dozen left. The dragons go silent, and she thinks Taim's men might have silenced them. A gateway opens, and she looks into a dark cavern with dragons pointing out and hears the cry, "Fire!" Talmanis asks Neil to close the gateway and open another. The new one opens on Trollocs engaging against White Cloaks. They fire again and they reload up another. They're just sending all the dragons everywhere. The Windfinders are no longer controlling the lightning around Shale Ghul, and it's striking randomly. Avienda flees Hessalam, who attacks her with balefire. Hessalam. Okay. The shadow is winning. She sees a strange mist and Trollocs fighting each other all around her. She sees physical impossibilities. She encounters Amis and they agree to attack Hessalam together. She sees plants beginning to grow in one barren ground, and in the skies, the clouds form an ancient symbol of Aes Sedai. She realizes it is Rand combating the Dark One. She watches as Ketyain and Olivia fight Hessalam and
Shall he conquer?
sees one of the captives collapse, blank-eyed. She hears a noise behind her and spins around, killing her attacker with fire, realizing it's Ruark, which is sad, but also a dropped plot line after this. Yeah. One of them decides to leave now that the heroes of the Horn have arrived as like one of the people on the battlefield. He resents Alviarn being in charge and thinks he might have to kill her and the other person who she bonded. Alviarn opens a gateway in the hopes of finding the dragons. Danilo tells him that they've been tricked and he agrees. Then thinks he will have to kill Danilo. They see Andral disguised as Rand and follow him when he flees, using a talent of reading residues. Alviarn decides she needs a circle, but decides only to include Rihanna and Nenson. They see Andral and chase after him, thinking him weak and an easy target, but instead enter a steading where they are apprehended because you cannot channel in a steading. Why didn't more people use that? That is a very cool trick that no one used until chapter 42.
Convenience.
Pavara asks if the Dreadlords will be executed, and they're told no, they will just be held. Andral warns the Ogiers that the captives are dangerous, but the Ogier are not concerned, even though many of them are dying on the freaking battlefield.
I'm confused why they are not concerned and like why they're involved in all this when they kind of, for the longest time, were just kind of like, we're not getting involved.
Well, because the Deus Machina of Loyal arguing and them agreeing to go there in the last book, Laura. Obviously.
Listen, guys, I'm hasty. And we need to do this. Let's go.
Anyway, Andral is like, I hope we could free Danilo from whatever is controlling his mind. Avienda sees Heslam dueling with her allies and realizes they're tiring more than she is. She sees Sasheli collapse, worn out by Heslam. Avienda weaves a spear of fire, air, and spirit and prepares to attack. She leaps for Heslam, avoiding a weave of earth aimed at the ground, but the resulting explosion rips apart her legs. Because women must suffer, breaking bones and flaying skin. She realizes Heslam is about to travel with the true power and manages to sink the spear into her side before she finishes the weave, and she is taken with her. Locane looks for people while the battle rages on around him. Leolwyn arrives to give him the seals with the message from Egwene. You must deliver the seals up to the White Tower to be broken. The sign is coming of light. She says he will know when it arrives. He's told that he thinks that they have found it. He tries to work out a way to free it from the crystal, considers balefire. Endral arrives and tells them the Trollocs are attacking the refugees from Camelin, but that the people there are too tired and need him. Matt rides with the Heroes of the Horn. He asks if he is one of them, and they tell him he is not, though he has done more than enough to earn a place. He sees an Ascension army about to join with Elaine's army and sees the river return, splitting the Shadows' forces. The remaining Sharans flee through gateways. Elaine forces and the Senchen attack the Trollocs on their side. On the other side of the river, the rest of the Senchen attack the rest of the Trollocs using the exotic animals. And he realizes he has to go to Rand, but before he goes, asking Hawkwing to speak to Tuon because Tuon's such a big fan of Hawkwing. Also, what a fucking way to end Egwene to not even let her be a hero of the Horn, where it's like she sacrificed everything and she still doesn't get to come back.
I was gonna say that would have been a cool tribute.
It would have been a cool tribute, and it probably would have made me cry, even though I wasn't even feeling it. Like just seeing Egwene come back and knowing she gets to be reborn into the pattern.
But instead, she gets to have like that stupid moment where she's like, "Rand, you have to protect all of them."
Oh my gosh. You know what was inside me all along? Light and the ability to kill a very tiny bad guy who just really appeared in the last book for maybe 2 chapters of importance. Rand speaks of the Dark One in all caps every time. In all caps, telling him that he cannot win because he cannot inspire people. Avienda tries to weave a gateway to escape Heslam, who sees her and prepares a shield. Avienda ties off the gateway, leaving it open in case Amaze sees it. Heslam wraps her in air, but is herself severely weakened. She takes her knife out, but is too weak to hold it. Of course. All of a sudden, we have Berelain and Perrin in Berelain's palace, and he sees Shiad, who feels she should not be there. She asks about Gaul, and Perrin tells her that he left Gaul in the dream, where like Gaul's like not sleeping, don't know how he's doing, but time's different there, so it's okay. He needs the Aes Sedai to cure him of his fatigue. She warns him it is dangerous, but he tells her letting Rand die is more dangerous, as it is leaving Gaul without an ally.
They're both dangerous.
They're worried he pushed himself too hard, and maybe he can go the next day. but it's more important. He tells Perrin that Perrin holds himself back too much because he is scared of letting go. Chiad returns with Masuri. He insists she tell him why she was meeting with Massima, which she does, revealing she had planned to use him. What a weird tie up at the end.
I know.
She was like, I was foolish. She places Malnir and straps on his belt Malnir and tells Chiad he will bring Gaul if he is wounded. He closes his eyes and imagines himself close to sleep, where he takes a pathway and takes the branch toward the wolf dream in the flesh and feels himself shift between the worlds. He begins to hunt. Tom watches the battle in Thekandar from just outside the Pit of Doom. Lightning hit the line of Dragonsword holding the cave entrance, then start hitting the Trollocs instead, control switching back and forth. He sees Gianni disguised as Katsuyen, who he kills, as she had not mimicked Katsuyen's walk. What a dumb ending to Tom. I hated that passage.
She doesn't have that walk
so much. Where he's just sitting there being like, I can have zero
He's
power.
like sitting there smoking. And
I know. Like, well, the
wonder
world
how
is
Moraine's
falling
doing,
around
but
them.
she can do this.
She's got this. I'll just sit it out here by the entrance and watch, which I understand people need to do, but to have like
But
no
also
one
they
at
had
the
like
cave
the warder
entrance.
bond too, and all the
Yeah.
other warders were like losing it.
I hated this. It's so bad. That was so bad. Anyway, Matt asks Grady to take him to Shal Ghul, but is told the gateways are deflected from there. Grady tells him that he can only take him to one of the camps, but a day's hike away. He's like, take me there. Thank you. I knew that it was a song, but I couldn't pick up on the melody, so I appreciate you doing that for me. I want to take you there when you call my name. Lose their
Rand.
Please tweet us song lyrics of people saying something about like say my name when no one is around you, say lose there and I love you if you ain't running game. I need to hear all the lose there names.
Yeah, somebody start creating some of these parody videos.
I mean, Hannah wrote a really good one earlier. I was pretty proud of that one. So Fane is calling himself Shaisam because he cannot, Padon Fane cannot stop changing his name. He cannot decide. His mind is on all the tendrils of mist. He has consumed the souls of many Trollocs and is controlling their bodies. He plans to find a place where the barriers between the worlds are thin and seep his self into the stones. But until he can do that, he is bound to Fane's mortal body. So he had tried to create the mist before, but hadn't been mature enough. He thinks how the mist is both him and not him, and that he plans to feast on the soul of Rand al'Thor. Gaul sneaks up on Slayer, attempts to kill him, but Slayer deflects it. Wolves arrive, distracting Slayer, and Gaul fades into the rocks. He sees Slayer and is not sure if he is real or a rock decoy until he starts killing wolves. He breaks from his hiding place and is hit by a spear from Slayer. He tells Gaul that here he is king and more than the Forsaken. The wind stops and Perrin appears, telling Slayer he is not king. What a weird argument. I am king. You are not king. Slayer tells Perrin that he wants to channel and that Luke wanted to be a part of something important, and that a prophecy had said Luke will be important to the last battle. He says they will kill Perrin, then Rand. Perrin opens his eyes, which glow, and Gaul flees. Okay. Matt Ulver and Sulan fly on a Torakan over Thekandar. He looks at the battle.
Why weren't we using those earlier? Just why?
Why weren't we using anything earlier, Laura? Why weren't we using rocks to throw at people? Go home.
Yeah, right. Why weren't we using rocks earlier?
He looks at the battle.
Resourceful.
He looks at the battle and sees there's little organization left. No kidding, other than the path to the Pit of Doom.
Just a little organization left. Wow, things have really gone off the rails.
I haven't been leading in like 12 hours. What the hell?
It's not even color coded anymore.
He realizes that the surviving soldiers will be crushed by Darkhounds, and if they survive Mushadar, the mist will take them. He realizes Fane and the dagger are also there. An arrow hits Sulan, forcing Matt to try and take control of the Torakan, but he crashes it. Ulver blows the horn of Veliar again. Rand breaks free of his struggle with the Dark One and again faces Moradin, who's like, hey, I'm here, and throws a knife at Alana. Morden's knife strikes Alana, but due to Nynaeve's herbs, she is awake enough
The power of Basil.
That's the episode title right there. The power of Basil. Thank you for that. But because of Nynaeve's Basil, she's awake enough to release her bond to Rand before she dies. Rand raises Callandor to strike down Morden, but Morden stabs his own hand with a knife, and Rand twitches and drops Callandor because they are tied together.
Mm-hmm.
Perrin fights Slayer. Oh, God. Thank God. For the first time since killing the White Cloaks in the studying, fully letting go of his emotions. Because remember, the power was inside him all along. We've learned this 8 million times already.
I'm so annoyed.
Slayer shifts into the real world, and Perrin follows him. They run through Aiel and Darkhound until Slayer sees him and shifts back into Tela Anri Ad. He sees Perrin again. They shift back and forth, trying to escape. Perrin catches him and kills him finally. He sees a group of shadow spawn with pockmarked faces, ugly men, but ignores them. The Darkhounds break through the Dragon's-Horn defenders. He takes a group of Aiel to the mouth of the Pit of Doom as a last defense, meeting the spirits of wolves called back to the world by the Horn of Valir. He leads them against the Darkhounds. Perrin sees Matt arrive, hey buddy, and warns him about the Darkhounds. Matt tells him that Fane is here and that the horn has been blown, but no one knows what happened to Fael. As he is talking, Mashadar rises up and knocks him off his horse. Unable to stand, Aviendha tries to crawl towards a gateway. As Grendel tries to shield her, she realizes she can't reach it and starts to unweave the gateway as Grendel begins to weave compulsion. She picks the wrong thread and the gateway explodes. That was actually pretty clever. Yeah.
I give it to him.
Good callback. Fane, thinking of himself as Shazam, I know this, moves towards Rand. He stops as some of the mist, which is a part of him, has stopped sensing. He comes across what he believes to be a familiar corpse killed by the mist, but it reaches up and grabs him by the throat. Matt tells him he once heard that if you catch a disease and survive, you can't get it again. So he cannot be affected by the mist, apparently. He drops the dagger and Matt grabs it, ramming it through his ribs. Fane dies, his corpse melting away. Even though books before, they told Matt to never touch that dagger again or he would die. Whatever. Perrin leaves Matt and enters the wolf dream. He grabs Gaul and takes him to the Two Rivers camp at the field of Merilor. He leaves Gaul to be healed and returns to Shao Ghul as he knows Rand will need him. Morden grabs Callandor and realizes it is also a true power sangreal and draws the true power. Rand tells him that to do so means death, but Morden replied that he will have oblivion. I just want to die.
I want out of here. Let me in that coffin.
Laura and I feel the same way, Morden. Just let us in that coffin. Put this book to bed. Nynaeve and Moraine exploit the flaw in Callandor in the way that Min had worked out and take control of Morden before linking with Rand. With Saidar and the True Power, Rand seizes the Dark One through the bore, using the protection of the True Power to prevent Saidin from being tainted again. The Dark One tries to turn off access to the True Power, but there's too much of it and he is unable. Light explodes from Rand, but guess what? He may not have to die like a queen. Fuck off, Rand. Anyway, chapter 48. Elaine feels Rand's strength, control, and determination and realizes the end has come. She sees a bright light shoot in the sky. Tom sees light. Min sees light. Aviendha sees light.
They all see this light, basically.
Grendel bows down before Aviendha and asks how she can serve the compulsion she had been weaving when the unraveling gateway exploded, having backfired on her. Andral tells Logain that Pulav Heights has been destroyed. He is annoyed that the Sangreal will also have been lost and thinks he wasted his time saving people who will hate him until he sees they're looking at him in awe, thanking and praising them. One woman tells him she will have her son tested as soon as he is old enough to see if he has the talent. He feels the light from Shao Ghul and Gabriel hands him the seals, telling him it is time, and he breaks them. Apparently all Logain needed was a little bit of love.
Right.
Okay, Perrin stumbles through the wolf dream where everything is dead. He sees Shao Ghul ahead and Dragonmount behind, though the two should be too distant for that. He moves himself to the entrance to the Pit of Doom and goes in where he sees Lanfear. They see Morden holding Callandor next to Rand, Nynaeve, and Moiraine. Lanfear uses compulsion on Perrin and tells him to kill Moraine while she kills Nynaeve. He feels it is wrong, but cannot help his hand rise. He thinks it is the wolf dream, and here his dreams become reality. He thinks on how he loves Fael, and the compulsion vanishes because love saves all. He reaches out to Lanfear and breaks her neck. Cool. Rand pulls the Dark One into the pattern and begins to kill him. He realizes that the vision of the future in which the Dark One had been killed was true, and that he must allow the Dark One to exist. He draws Saidin, Saidar, and the True Power and weaves them together in their pure form, not as individual 5 powers, and reforges the prison, meaning that the theme of this book is the wheel will keep on turning forever and ever and ever, and another battle will come again and again and again, and we will never get out of this. It will forever be Shighten on the wheel of time. Moraine pulls Nynaeve. Yeah, I think I'm done. Moraine pulls Nynaeve out of the pit of doom, unable to see because of the blinding light. She sees the blackness in front of Rand and shrinks away until it vanishes. Rand stumbles as he carries Moradin along the tunnel, carrying the dead body of his enemy. He falls as it closes behind him. A woman's voice that he does not recognize tells him that if he needs to do what he needs to do. As she moves off, he thinks he recognizes Aiel clothing and gray hair, and he tells her he asked the elfin the wrong question and that choice is what matters. Ugh. Matt stands as Mashadar vanishes and the sun comes out. He sees Panan Fane's corpse rotting quickly. He decides against reclaiming the dagger. He puts on his hat and he leaves. Also, this is so awful because Perrin is like, I want to kill Panan Fane. He murdered my family. And then the book is like, hey, Perrin, you don't even get that. To do it. Matt gets to do that because dagger. Sorry. Perrin walks into camp at the base of Shal Ghul. He hears people complaining that he cannot save Rand and that Nynaeve also tried with Moraine's Angreal. Perrin sees Moradin and is told that he is also dying. He leaves the tent and sees Lan, who tells him that Oliver was the last to see Fael. He goes to find...
continues to search for Fael.
Always and forever. That wheel just keeps on turning. Just keeps on turning. But they just keep moving. Loyal looks for Matt to get his account of the battle. He's like, I must talk to Matt. Well, it's still fresh in his mind. And sees several Aes Sedai trying to push Rodell into accepting the crown of Aradoman. He enters Rand's tent and hears that Rand is dying, but Moradin is getting better. Damar tells Nynaeve he thinks it is odd that none of the women bonded to Rand. Avienda, Elaine, or Min seem concerned.
Yeah, I wonder why they're not losing it.
Loyal talks to Avienda and passes Elaine and Min and agrees with Damar that it is odd they aren't wanting to be with him. Matt goes to see Tuon, who tells him she is pregnant, which means she can now kill him, and that doesn't concern him. Perrin is exhausted and believes Fael to be dead. He collapses among the corpses. Mogadine wakes among the Shara corpses. She thinks that she might be able to rule the world again in just a few years. But her train of thought is interrupted by an Adam closing around her neck. The Suldam, Shannon, says that they are not able to take any Aes Sedai, but that Mogadine doesn't wear the ring and looks as if she's up to no good. They open a gateway to Ebadar and drag Mogadine, Mobardo through. Rand dies, but Avienda, Elaine, and Min do not seem to care.
They're not concerned.
They're terrible actresses. Can't they keep their chill for like 2 seconds? Nope. Nynaeve thinks that they must know something and she will have it out of them. She hears Avienda telling Bear that Ruark's death means that something about her vision of the future has already changed. So everything's all right for everyone except Egwene. Nynaeve challenges her with Rand's death, and Avienda responds that Rand woke from a dream in greatness and must be celebrated by greatness. Nynaeve doesn't believe a word of it and demands the truth. Avienda merely says that they must prepare his funeral pyre. Perrin races through a wolf dream, visiting places he has been with Fael or Rand. He collapses in the place he met Elias and hears the cry of a falcon. He follows it to the field of Marilor and finds a tiny falcon pinned beneath a rock. He brings himself out of the dream, finds Fael by her scent, breathing shallowly. He takes her to Nynaeve for healing. Bergie asks Elaine if she knows something about the dragon, but Elaine shrugs. Again, this woman is dead.
And then she's like, don't use the Horn of Valor. And Elaine's like, we'll see.
I know. Oh my God.
What?
Well, no, but she tells Elaine we'll see, and then she's like, I thought you'd say that, so I sent the horn off with Oliver so he could have a life, and you don't try to like. And she's like, that was really mean, and she's like, yeah, I know, I saved you from a bad decision. She feels herself being reborn and tells Elaine she will be with Guidal, which I did look it up. Oliver has been confirmed that he is not Guidal, so Laura, you can rest easy. Tam lights Rand's funeral pyre, thinking that Rand did well. Man watches Tam
he
light
also
the funeral
is,
pyre.
Watching he's looking at Tam's looking at Rand's funeral pyre, and he's like, "Man, this is so small.
I know.
This is like huge. That's not fair." I'm like, "Oh,
Green did so much better, and Rand gets to live. So back the fuck off.
He's not even dead."
Man watches Tam light the funeral pyre and tells him that every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. No, she says she knew this was coming. In the back of her mind, she feels the bond grow stronger and tells the others that they must make sure everyone believes Rand is gone. Then be better actresses. Then do better.
Everyone can see right through this.
I know. Rand wakes in Morden's body next to a mixed pile of clothing left by Olivia, who was going to help him live his life. He sneaks out of the tent and sees Catsiane looking at him. Catsiane sees Rand leave and decides there's no need to continue the sham of the funeral. As she walks off, everyone's following her, being like, you're going to be the next Amerlin. And she's like, shoot. Rand walks off, relieved that Catsiane didn't raise an alarm. He realizes she probably suspects something. No, kidding. You look like Moradin.
Idiot. Of course you suspect something. You're one of the big bads just walking around.
He pulls out a pipe and finds there's no Sidene for him to use. He tries to use the true power just to be sure and can't use that either. He is relieved. He has no way to light his tabac, so the pipe as being lit, and it is. So thinks of the pipe as being lit, and it is. I don't understand. He looks back at Avienda, Elaine, and Min and wonders which will follow him and who he will
decide
pick.
who I will love.
He realizes he can't choose, so he will be with all three of them, and he thinks how it will be novel to just travel for pleasure to see the world.
This is the ending.
Okay, so I technically liked the ending in like the storyline. Reading it out loud makes me mad. I gaslit myself into thinking I liked this book, and I don't think I do.
After going through this bit by bit, I'm contemplating going back on Goodreads and lowering.
I know, you and I are both like 4 stars. Like, this is good. Again, reading these books chapter by chapter, I don't understand how people do it, because you and I would have murdered each other by now. Like, we would have been Moradin and being like, I don't want to live anymore.
It would be in the garbage after Egwene died.
Yeah, this was not good. No, thank you.
The summary I'm looking at, the last sentence says, but it was an ending.
Oh, that is how it ends. This wasn't the ending, but it
was an ending.
An ending. Because again, this book
that's
is
a take
all about
on this book, but it was an ending.
That was an ending. We're going to talk about it more in the character stuff. I do think it makes sense, the setup.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the execution was a mess.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
That's accurate. I think that's accurate. I think one of the biggest things that bugs me is how certain characters were not given enough to do, and then other ones that we do not need to care about were given too much.
Why was Galad in the end of this book? Why did he matter?
Why were Pavara and what's his name in this so
oh my
much?
God, reading each other's mind. Like,
why did we get so much of them and like none of Moraine?
It should have been 2 books ago. I don't understand why they were the final book. They were so much
Moraine
of this final
was
book.
So cool, and we get like nothing.
She's just standing next to Rand for an entire book. That's all she's doing.
There's a lot of Perrin that I don't care about. There's a lot of Tuon that I don't care about.
You mean you didn't want 8 different times of Perrin running after Slayer and realizing he had to let loose of his emotions? It was bad, guys. Perrin's storyline was trash. We will discuss it next week.
There's not enough of Maureen. There's not enough of Nynaeve. There was not enough of Tom.
there was terrible stuff on Egwene, so awesome.
There's plenty of that. Aviendha got mutilated.
Aviendha gets mutilated. One of the other most capable characters. You know, Elaine can't run a country to save her life, but she gets to be a master of everything. Min has nothing to do for books and books and books, and all of a sudden she is the all-powerful seer. Tuon is a piece of trash, and she's all the one who needs to be saving. But people like Aviendha and Egwene, who are some of the most capable characters who had growth, have to be torn down.
Yep.
Awesome.
Correct.
Well, guys, next week
the end.
Will be us discussing the characters in this book. We obviously have a lot of takes.
It was an ending.
It was an ending. We're going to close out our discussion. I'm sure Laura is going to scramble over to her Goodreads to change this to 3 stars, maybe.
Doing it
maybe
as we speak.
Oh, as
right now. Live action.
Laura is giving you guys some live action content of Lowering the Stars. I will keep it as 4 because I do think us talking taints it a little bit.
Rounded up.
No, they don't need it rounded up. You're fair. I'm too lazy to change it. And, it's one of those that I don't feel too bad about giving it 4 stars for. I did appreciate the ending, but talking about it makes me mad. Right. So, yeah, we had some emotions about this, but maybe not the ones people expected.
I mean, there are emotions.
There are emotions. They exist in our bodies right now. But yeah, so join us next week to close out our discussion of this book. I think it will probably be pretty loosey-goosey because you guys have heard a lot of our opinions already.
Yeah.
But before that, please make sure you guys rate, review, and subscribe. Rating, reviewing, and subscribing is a great way to teach people about season 1 of our podcast, which is coming to a close very, very soon. And we will be starting season 2, which, it's going to be different in its own way, but we hope you guys enjoyed the season so far and enjoy the closing out discussions of this. We have 2 more weeks of Wheel of Time. The week after our character week will be a wrap-up episode. We will be taking listener questions and reactions to what we thought, or asking for bigger reactions on something that you think we could rant about. We'd love to.
Ask us who our favorite characters are, Tom, and then ask us.
I don't know. Tom really pissed me off in this last book.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. He really made me mad in the last book. But yeah, so we're gonna finish up our character and just kind of a finish up of this book, and then we will be taking listener questions and doing a wrap up of the series as a whole. And we're just really excited to do that. And follow us at Our Pod. That's OWWR Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Reach out with any questions, and we hope to see you next week for a very loosey-goosey episode, I'm sure. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.